more and more as it piles on, the papers are stacking, criticizing and questioning what's happening with National, and just pointing at things that are happening. There was a piece by Sam Smith on Stuff today, talking about specifically kind of mentioning how the two Chris's, Chris Bishop and Chris Luxon, have differing opinions about the housing market and what should happen. This has come up a few times a wee while ago, but they've kind of put it in a piece where it also mentions they're definitely hinting that perhaps National are not hitting their voter base, or they might need to change their voter base, or maybe change who they're aiming towards. As we know, the millennials and the Gen Zers are coming into politics, and they're getting more and more left-leaning as opposed to traditionally right-leaning as you get older. Because unlike our parents, who probably were more conservative as they aged, and our grandparents, it's because things were good and they didn't want anything to change. Us who are moving up the ages, things are shit. So everything needs to change.
I saw an interesting theory on this, because it's always been stated as a truism that you get more conservative as you age. It's not to do with age. It's about how many assets you have.
Oh.
Yeah, and this rings true,
interesting.
right? You get more conservative when you own more stuff. Like your house, you can't risk as much.
Yeah,
right?
less risky.
You've got yours, so lock it all down. But our generations are the first ones that have struck. As we get older, we don't own a lot of stuff. We're still renting. That sort of thing. And that's what's changing it. So these guys have stacked the deck so much that they're fucking their own system over.
Yeah, I suppose.
And I'm here for it.
The risk of, well, not gambling, but the, shares, assets and all that, those are risks, right? And then, for example, a great analogy, or not even analogy, example is your KiwiSaver, right? So when you put your KiwiSaver in, you should not have a KiwiSaver. Everyone should have a KiwiSaver. It's ideal, if you can. But you should choose the settings on your KiwiSaver, because they actually do have an impact depending on which one you choose. But if you're younger and you're looking to buy a house, you don't want to be in a high risk investment, which you can have big highs and big lows. You want to be in a conservative or moderate fund, right? Because you want to not see massive losses before you're about to buy a house, and you could lose 2 to 3 to 4 to 5,000 depending on how much is in there, which could fuck you over. But if you're an old person and you're not going to see that money for another 30, 40 years, then you want it to be in a high growth fund, because over 30, 40 years, those big swings are not going to make a huge difference, because numbers still just going to go up. So it's the same thing, I guess. But our risks when we're younger, because we're not talking about monetary assets, our risks are very different. Our risks are, do I stay in this job or do I leave this job? Can I afford to leave this job? Should I negotiate or fight my landlord? Because that could leave me homeless. Or do I shut up, put up, and just take the $700 a week that I have to pay for this property? Like, those are very different and very different insecurities versus what our parents and grandparents are looking at.
Yep. Like, all I can say is look at what the reaction is to, say, Labor's capital gains tax. Right? See who's freaking out and see who's going, do more. And it's a generational difference, because I don't care about the capital gains tax. I own one house. Do you care about the capital gains tax, Emily? Is it going to dramatically fuck up your portfolio?
I don't own a house.
There we go. Right. So we don't care.
I'm back there.
But if you look at national social media, You look at what they're putting out on Facebook and Instagram and all of those sort of things. This is it. End of days policy. You know, and it's just a start. And that's who they're talking to. They're not talking to us. Or if they are talking to us, they're lying to us. You know, and I think...
Well, they are talking to us, the general broader us, because unfortunately as Kiwis, especially sort of sorry, your generation perhaps up, there are a lot of people sorry, there are a lot of people who actually, no, I think it's Generation Y. I think it's all generations. Everyone has that innate feeling of like, one day I'll make it, and that one day I'll make it, I might have an investment property, and one day I'll make it and I have an investment property, then I have to pay the capital gains tax. And it's like, dude, you're still in your mother's basement, and you can't you can't even earn $500 a week or more, and like you're not leaving the situation anytime. Capital gains tax, even if you buy a home, not going to affect you anytime soon.
Congrats on being able to buy a second home. Congrats on selling it at a good price and making some money. You're still making money. You're making it income, just like a normal person gets an income and pays tax on that income. That's the thing, you know. And I think everybody that is freaking out about it can get fucked. I want to be successful. I want to have money in my retirement and not be beholden to a meager whatever's left of superannuation when I get there. Don't worry about superannuation, Emily. It won't exist by the time you get to it.
Oh no, I'll be dead.
You'll be dead because of the climate. Yep, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't need to think that far ahead.
This is the thing. I don't think it's age that makes people more conservative. It's status. It's how much you have to protect and how sorted you are. And each generation has got less and less sorted. And good for you if you're successful. I personally couldn't be successful and look back at the pile of people that I've had to climb over to get there. So I think, you know, if you're expecting me to get more conservative as I get older, that is not going to happen. If anything, I've become more radicalized by paying more attention to what's going on.
Because you have a justice meter. Someone, you have a conscience. Someone did mention that that's why young people just sports bet or invest in crypto. They don't expect anything. I agree. There was a big thing that came out where Gen Z are just like spending up on their credit cards. This is America based, to be fair, but spending up on their credit cards, putting on huge amounts of debt, and just kind of going, fuck it, because like, what else are you supposed to do? I'd much rather live my life and like enjoy it. And, you know, the consequences are what they are. I'm not even looking 5, 10, 20 years ahead. And like, I've been a young person. Like, I can totally understand that mentality when you feel like, I'll never own a home. Why bother putting into KiwiSaver? Why bother? Like, I want to spend this money and go overseas. Like, live in the moment. And that's just that feeling of feeling stuck and hopeless. Anyways, this was supposed to be a story about how National Party are out of touch. So,
let's find out how much.
Do you want to find out how much?
Is it a lot?
This. Well, Chris Luxon. I don't know when this was actually recorded, because this was mentioned a wee while ago. But here's him responding to, yeah, but Chris Bishop has a very different idea. What's going on? Why are you guys on the same page?
Well, listening to Chris Bishop was interesting because only a few weeks back, former Prime Minister John Key was saying the exact opposite, and that the country needed to get the housing market rising again, to get people spending, to get things sorted in this country. Who's right?
Well, look, I think you've just got to take a step back and think about where we've been on housing. I mean, we saw a 30% increase in house prices in a single year, right? And that was clearly a very unsustainable bubble. And you're right, since...
During COVID. During COVID, which was an exceptional case. During COVID. Context matters.
then it varies, as you've highlighted, by region, but you've probably seen about a 13% correction since that early 2022 peak. And so, what we're really focused on is making sure that housing becomes much more affordable. That means you need to have wages growing faster than house prices. We don't want our whole economic growth be driven by speculative house price inflation. We actually want it driven by productive growth. That's why we do things like RMA reform, education reform, trade and infrastructure, all that kind of good stuff. And what we want to see going forward is then modest, consistent house price increases.
But we haven't got that, have we? We haven't got any price increases really at the moment in housing.
Yeah, sorry, we're going through, as I said, a correction because clearly, 30% growth in a year was clearly a very unsustainable kind of bubble. I think everybody understands that, and that's what we've gone through as we've gone through.
Okay, but going forward, do you agree with John Key or Chris Bishop here? Do you agree with John Key that he's saying, no, look, people say they don't want house prices rising because it's not good for their kids, but actually that's not true, he's saying. They actually do want it because that gives them the confidence to go and spend. Is he right?
I think this is exactly what we were just talking about before, of like, when you have an asset, you're conservative in your risk, and also you want the asset to keep growing because that's how you're funding your retirement, especially if you have a property or multiple properties. So generally speaking, yes, we do want our house prices to go up to offset what we pay in interest, but there's like a balancing of sorts, right? There's reasonable growth.
This
is
what happened
crazy growth
when you literally stacked the deck and the system that the only way New Zealanders make money is by buying and selling old houses to each other. Like, that's the measure of our economy, and like, we can't crash the housing market because everybody's put all of their fucking eggs in one basket. What's the saying? We don't have an economy, we have a housing market with other bits tacked onto it, and those other bits are milk solids, and that's it.
Milk and honey. Land of milk and honey.
And so we've put successive governments over decades have acknowledged that this could potentially be a problem, and then have done nothing about it. There should be a natural element of risk if people are investing. You're investing in a new idea, a new product, a new business, stocks and bonds and stuff like that. Is like generally the line goes up, right? You make money. But housing, we have made it that it's the golden calf. We can't possibly have any risk. So therefore, if you have any money, that's the only thing you should put it in. You are literally insane if you take your money and put it into something with more risk if you're wanting to grow your money. So we have manufactured this crisis, this fact that we have made an unproductive economy because everybody's putting it in piles of weatherboard. And then the guys that are making productive parts of our economy are starved for investment and have to go overseas to find it. And it's not something that's exclusive to us. Every other country that followed that same path has the same problem. They have a housing crisis. They have an economy that if they look at solving the housing crisis, that they will ruin their economy and wipe out people's retirement funds. I don't have the answer for it. Whatever the solution is, it's got to be fucking gentle. But I think we need to encourage people to stop hoarding houses when people don't have a house to live in. That just seems to be the case. And I think the benefit to the entire country is if we close that tax loophole, then our inventors and our idea people and our entrepreneurs and the people that have just want to make a small business, which is an actual productive part of the economy that pays people wages and pays the government tax. Now, you've seen that news story today, right? Nicola Willis's finances are worse than she thought.
Yeah.
She's short $700 million in tax take. because they've crashed the economy.
And Treasury have decided to put the paying off the emission targets, the emission, what is it? Tax credit.
Yeah,
what do you call
emission
them?
trading thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, actually, no, we are going to put that into your budget. So now you have to put that in there and consider it as part of your budgeting process.
I've said this multiple times over the past couple of years. Nicola Willis is an economic vandal. I don't think she is so dumb that this is just all accidental. She knew what levers she was pulling, and this is what people benefit. People with money, with liquid assets, benefit when there's this much chaos in the economy. And they get the guys on the wages, they just get fucked on because they don't have the resources to participate in the game that's being played.
Do you want to see? Let's have a quick listen to what Luxon said to Who's Right.
Because it's not good for their kids, but actually that's not true. He's saying they actually do want it because that gives them the confidence to go and spend. Is he right?
Well, Chris is right in the sense of we want to make sure that we've got productive growth happening in the economy, and how do you get better economic productivity into the New Zealand economy, which has been a problem over 30 years. We can easily, if you don't just want to drive an economy through immigration and house price inflation, we've really got to make sure that we are creating a higher standard of living for people through a more productive economy. And so we want to be able to make sure that going forward that we have modest, consistent house price increases, and you're seeing economic forecasts suggesting that. But equally, we want to make sure that people's wages are growing faster than that house price inflation, because that's ultimately how they get housing more affordable.
Okay.
So close.
Oh dear, that is
it's like,
uninspiring.
It's like, yes, you guys identified it. I think, well, I'll give yourself credit as well. Pat identified it as a long time ago. They identify the problem, they can see all the parts of the problem, and then they have a one-sided view of the solution, and then they stick to it. Like that all of those things were stacking up. We were just talking about it. And then it goes, so house prices need to increase modestly. Not, we need to get people out of investing in homes so that people who can maybe afford to buy their first home have a chance of buying that first home, because they're not going up against people who can buy it outright because they own 100 fucking properties. Like, so close. And then his solution is just so one-sided.
This is why I'm on a silly little podcast rather than interviewing these guys in a studio. Like if I was the host of Q&A, first of all, could you imagine? Second of all, I'd be jumping across that table at that point and going, "You've identified everything. Now what? Now what? Tell us. Do you understand? No? You did wibbly wobbly do, and it's all better now." Oh.
The rest of this, I won't go too long because we're at 10. All right, past. Wonderful. The rest of this is quite a good wee article, because that's just part one. That's just the way of just sprinkling in this idea that there's some challenges in what people are thinking in the National Party. Continuing that line of thought. So there's an economist, Shamubil. I'm not butchering that name. If anyone has
Shamubil, I have trouble with his last name, but the first name is Shamubil.
Okay. Club is what I'm thinking, but I thought I might butcher it. This is a great wee quote from him. "It doesn't matter if you're left or right. Being young in New Zealand means that home ownership is hard. And if you keep on running a party for boomers, you will die." Holy shit, is that brutal.
Now, remember what I said earlier about that 18 to sort of early 30s cohort of people that may look at the state of things and go, what's the point in voting? There's an issue right there. That is an issue that needs to be discussed with those people.
It continues. I'm trying to fit my camera because I'm like slowly like disappearing into the dark. Wonderful quote. I feel like that almost could be on a t-shirt. Being young in New Zealand means that home ownership is hard, and if you keep on running a party for boomers, you'll die. He's talking obviously about the National Party, so he's saying that this party will die if you don't move with the times. And then says Bishop was continuing on with something that Phil Twyford had started around sort of homes and housing policies, etc. And then sort of the national hierarchy has traditionally been about high house prices going back years, making Bishop's views a break with the norm. And this kind of also plays a little bit into my bromance theory that I have, that there is a lot more in common between Kieran and Bishop than they lead on. I reckon they got a little bromance. I think they see eye to eye on some things. I think they... I know you hate
what
it.
You're saying.
You hate it, but it's there. The pictures say all you need to know. Go and look up Chris Bishop, Kieran McAnulty cricket, and you'll see what I mean.
I absolutely will not look that up. There's nothing good there.
Headline of the next thing says a shifting voter base. Was it Shamabil? Gosh, I'm so sorry. Says the voting base in New Zealand is shifting. National now has to choose where political calculus lies. If you look at the Ipsos survey on housing attitudes, you'll see even amongst older people, there is a growing awareness that something's not right in the housing market in New Zealand. Really? Really?
Shocking.
Really? Shocking? I think we can all see it, guys. I think we can all see it. That narrative has really matured from one going, all for me and not for anybody else, to going, actually, there is a societal problem and we should be doing it. We should be doing something, sorry. What does this mean for the 2026 general election? The Reserve Bank is not predicting much of an increase in house prices, forecasting 0.3% fall this calendar year. Economically speaking, though, analysts tend to be split on the view of whether rising house prices are actually good for the economy. The chief economist at Westpac said in August that rising house prices were usually an indication of nominal economic growth. When house prices are rising, people who have houses generally feel a bit richer, so they spend more. Yes, that all makes sense. That's obviously positive for the economy in a cyclical sense, which is kind of the current theory of why they're trying to push interest rates down so that people have lower mortgages and they have more disposable income if you own a house. Renters, on the other hand, rent just keeps going up. it's interest rates go down.
Those people
Rent
that are living in
prices go
my
up.
investment.
Interest rates go down. House prices go up. Nobody wins. As for national heading into 2026, Shamabil Kwab believes the split on the issue is set to remain within the party between the traditional old school national and the new school. I think you'll find the leadership will remain very focused on trying to appease the base. And that's what we've seen with Luxon. I mean, essentially, everything he talks about is very traditional, old school national messaging. Bishop is a much more astute politician than people who speak to their base and to themselves rather than to future voters. Club says that what is emerging now is a little bit of a splinter. However, he does not expect substantial policy change in support of young people. Interesting stuff. I'm no longer here. I'm fading.
I had to fade as well, just to match you.
Just to even it out. I'm like literally like I'm not even here
heads.
anymore. I'll fix this. Any final thoughts on that one there, Chewie?
I think anything that humanizes Chris Bishop should be looked at with great suspicion.
There we go. anything that humanizes any national MP. Is that
they're not
where you're
people.
going?
They're not people and shouldn't be viewed as such. Look, I think Chris Bishop knows what he's doing. And I think he may be just positioning himself as a point of difference. And this may be part of what we were talking about earlier in the week with maybe him trying to stack up support with a faction within the National Party. But ultimately, the way that he sees things is incompatible with fixing this problem. There's nothing that he has said, or more importantly, that he has done that underlines that he has a solution to this. So what problem is he trying to solve? Is the problem that Chris Bishop wants a long and lucrative career? Or is he looking to solve problems?
Yes, that's politics for you. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, it's a game. Sometimes you just have people like Seymour, whose entire thing is based on winning. He doesn't care who he'll step on to do so. Luxon, very much the same. I think he's just in it, like you guys say, just in it for his knighthood. Doesn't give a shit. He literally didn't live in this country. He did not live in this country, and now he's running it. His kids didn't get educated here, and now he's running it. He's out of, literally, the campaign against him was Chris Luxon is out of touch. That rings true today, more so than it ever did then. It's still true. They knew he was out of touch. And it literally says in this article that, it's quoted, but, he's out of touch. He represents old school, national, traditional. He's made that very clear with the likes of, I'm a Catholic, and he's Catholic, like Christian Catholic. Very outwardly, gets along with Nicola Willis, who's, trad wife 2.0, mum, boss, your ginger kids running around. Poor kids.
Look, I just hope for a brave future where Christopher Luxon's wife is allowed to have sleeves.
But where would she put those guns that he so lovingly caresses at night?
Okay, so here's your homework, fam. Hold your nose and go to Christopher Luxon's Facebook page. He's off at the Business Innovative something or other awards tonight. And have a look at this very normal selfie that he and his wife took. There's absolutely nothing unusual or weird about it at all. You can come back to me with thoughts on our Facebook page or our Discord.
What are the general vibe of the of the comments?
The general vibe of it is hostage situation. Is no, I'd say I'll let you come to your own conclusions.
Well, what's the general consensus in the comments? Are there comments under it?
No, it's just part of a story. So I'm relying on the chat here to put their thoughts on our Facebook page, on my blue sky or your blue sky. There we go.
Crazy eyes.
Yeah, she got crazy eyes. Or Discord. It's a very memeable picture. Do with that what you will.